So, a while back I did an admittedly rather shallow dive into a handful of celebrities that made appearances to voice a small plethora of characters in the original Kingdom Hearts. Well, that went over better than I ever could have hoped, so here's a handful more celebrities who voice a handful more characters in a handful more games. Handful, handful, handful. If you need a refresher on my rules and criteria for this exercise, please revisit the intro to the original video linked in the description and pinned comment. And also, hit subscribe while you're there. Okay, thanks. First up, something that I missed was Haley Joel Osment has a major role in the Hulu series Future Man as Dr. Stu Camillo. Being emetophobic, I have a really hard time watching Future Man because there is so much vomit. It's quite a shame, really, because it looks like a really funny show. I also kind of feel like I unintentionally snubbed Billy Zane, so in addition to being a bit more concise with these celebrities going forward, here's some other things that he's been in. Sorry, Billy.
Oh, Billy. I'm just messing with you.
Okay, now, let's kick things off with Hold up, wait a damn minute. Kairi? She already had a spot in Part 1. What's she doing here? Well, it looks like we're starting Celebrities Part 2 with Kairi Part 2. As I said in Part 1, Kairi was originally voiced by Hayden Panettiere. Hayden also voiced her in 2, as well as voicing Xion in Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. Granted, she only had about 6 words as Xion, but, I may as well be thorough. Wait a second, hold on here. How the hell did this become about Hayden again? Thanks, ADHD. Now, let's move on. Nowadays, Kairi is voiced by this deranged little evil genius, Allison Stoner. As well as playing the adorably sociopathic and personal favorite character of mine, Sarah, in the Cheaper by the Dozen movies, she has a pretty impressive Disney resume, which includes appearances in Camp Rock, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, alongside someone else who appears in Kingdom Hearts that we'll get into later, and Phineas and Ferb, where she voices Isabella Garcia Shapiro, which is a hell of a name. And that's about all I have to say about that character, because I've never really watched Phineas and Ferb. Hold on, let me see who this is. Oh, she's the What You Doin' girl. She's all over this show then.
What you doing? What you doing?
I previously stated that every Disney Channel child star seems to be contractually obligated to start making music, so guess what Allison Stoner's been doing? If you guessed making music, you would be correct. In addition to some guest spots and voice acting, she's been making a lot of music, in fact. And she actually seems to be enjoying it, so good for you. Do your thing, and we'll hopefully hear from you soon. I mean, now that Kairi's training with Aqua, maybe they'll give her something to do, and she can work her way back into relevancy.
You have a dark gift, Sarah Baker.
Ah, crap. Did Steve Martin just predict Kairi's villain era? So, last time, I left off after stating the celebrities in the original Kingdom Hearts. If we keep going in release order, the next game would be Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. This game came out on Game Boy Advance and had no voice acting. Well, another job well done. And we move on to Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh, wait a sec. Rechain of Memories exists, doesn't it? Okay, well. Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, or Recom as the cool fans refer to it, sorry for the oxymoron, uses much of the same cast as the first game, minus Lance Bass and Sean Astin. Man, I'm really hung up on them, aren't I? Anyway, it also adds a few more characters. However, most of them are voice actors, and we're searching for different types of celebrities, so they're out. Leaving us with 2. Huh, maybe Recom will be easy. Which makes me particularly happy, because for me, Recom is kind of like being part of the Star Wars fanbase. For the most part, it's good and I enjoy it, but there's parts of it that make me never want to go back to it. And now, changing directions, get dunked on, Northwest, because up next is a real Broadway child star. Look, in all seriousness, I'm not really one to go around dragging literal children. I mean, she tried. I feel like the fault really lies with whoever organized this debacle and whoever allowed Kim Kardashian to buy her way into this. I mean, look at this. This is 4th grade recital quality, not the fucking Hollywood Bowl. Anyway, pre-ramble, I was talking about Larxene, who is voiced by Chanel Workman. Chanel Gray now. And nope, it's back to Chanel Workman. Chanel Gray, man?
Greymon, Digimon 2!
Chanel... Look, that joke was for me. Screw you guys. Chanel Workman started her time as a celebrity as young Cosette. Not the rapper, the child in Les Miserables. This is not her. This is from the movie. I couldn't find footage of Chanel's shows. I also didn't try terribly hard. Look, you want quality or do you want expediency? Chanel, much like Cloud Steve Burton, is most well known in the visual space for her work in soap operas, where she played Sarah on One Life to Live and Gabby in The Old and the Pitiful. Wait, no, that's The Bold and the Beautiful. Yes, I made that same joke again in part 2. What are you gonna do about it? It's my show!
Whatever, I do what I want.
After a while, Chanel opened her own studio and has produced over 180 short films and is one of the top, leading, premier, another adjective for successful, studios in LA. So, I guess Larxene was right.
I refuse to lose.
Now, the final entry for Recom is Namine, voiced by Megan Martin. Megan Martin has been in a generous smattering of TV shows, usually only for an episode or two. You know, an appearance on House here, an episode of Zack and Cody there. Oh, I'll get to you, you bastard. As well as Joe in Mean Girls 2 and Tess in the Camp Rock movies. But most of all, she was Bianca in the 10 Things I Hate About You series, which I regrettably haven't seen as of yet, despite having the movie and the play it was based on ranking among my personal favorites. Megan is Namine's current voice actor, but she isn't the only one, because before Recom had voice acting, Kingdom Hearts 2 did. And in Kingdom Hearts 2, she was played by Brittany Snow. And while not a household name, Brittany Snow is in a lot. She's Chloe in the Pitch Perfect movies, as well as being one of the main characters in 96 Minutes. Out of curiosity, let me look up the runtime for this movie. 93 minutes. That's, anticlimactic. I mean, there must have been 3 minutes of cut content somewhere, right? I mean, hell, I probably got 3 minutes of cut content from this episode alone. I mean, I've flubbed plenty of lines after all. I've flubbed this one. She's quite the final girl, too, playing Donna in Prom Night and Iris in Would You Rather. Hold on, Iris? Iris? I don't know, I've never seen the movie. Chiefly because I have a thing about eyes that just wigs me out, and this right here, this is the poster for that movie. So yeah, that's gonna stay on the never watched list. I guess I'm just gonna reveal all of my phobias in a single episode, huh? Snakes. I also don't like snakes. They can walk, but they don't have legs, and there's just something about that isn't right. And, you know, they're impossibly fast, and their entire body is one big muscle that literally squeezes the life out of things, and just, no. Brittany was also in a plethora of TV shows, being featured in a few episodes of Nip Tuck, Gossip Girl, Law & Order, and the entirety of American Dreams. Brittany Snow only lent her voice to Namine once, but I get it, she's busy. And now that we're done with the second Kingdom Hearts game, let's move on to the second Kingdom Hearts game. You heard me. See, even though Recom is the second Kingdom Hearts game, it's not Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 is Kingdom Hearts 2. Get used to title confusion, it only gets worse from here. We start the third entry off with Roxas. Now let me say, I will happily 1v1 any weapons-grade nincompoop who dares try to tell me that he's a bad character.
You can skip the first 5 hours.
Really?
I never want to play as Roxas again.
Yeah, that's rough.
First, like, you're in like a fake dreamland, is this garbage character nobody cares about.
Oh, it's on site now, bud. Roxas is voiced by Emmy nominee, Grammy nominee, and multi-platinum selling musical artist Jesse McCartney. Jesse started his career in theater, but really took off on the soap opera All My Children. The Venn diagram of Kingdom Hearts actors and soap operas has a surprisingly large overlap. After a while, he started his music career, appearing in, this many bands, before going solo and releasing the platinum album Beautiful Soul. Jesse McCartney also took the runner-up position on The Masked Singer as the Turtle. This was an alright show for a while, but, you know, there's only so many times you can hear Jenny McCarthy say, "Who is it?" Now let's meet... Oh, hold on, wait. Holy crap! Jesse's IMDb trivia also states that he auditioned for the lead role in The Sixth Sense, which eventually went to Haley Joel Osment. The parallel here is intense. Like, both Sora and Roxas were trying to be the same person, and it went to Sora. And now, for real, let's meet...
Painter! Pence! Olette!
Hayner and Olette are mostly just voice actors, but Pence is Sam Marquette, who plays Johnny on The Goldbergs, as well as a bunch of other projects. Very few of which I can personally weigh in on because I haven't really seen them. And here in the script, I actually wrote LOL. What is this? Am I expecting myself to laugh here? Did I write this like it was a text I was sending to someone else? Is this all a scripted bit? I'll never tell. So last time we had Kim Possible. This time we have Ron Stoppable, because Seifer is played by Will Friedle, who is best known for his role as Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World, and naturally he showed up in Girl Meets World. He also played a couple of extemporaneous roles and has a bunch of vocal roles, one of which really surprised me, that being Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond. Thus, long before being one of the only people to use the insult "you lamers," he was one of the only people to use the insult "you twip," which sounds much more derogatory than it really is. It was essentially just made up for the show because it sounded like something that kids in the future would say. Well, now it is the future, and twip never caught on. A few other much more terrible things did, but twip wasn't among them. I feel remiss if I don't also mention that Will Friedle was one of the people who wrote a character letter for that walking pile of wet demon feces known as Brian Peck. While later recounting this event, he did admit to not truly knowing the kind of person that Peck really was, and admitted that he was on the wrong side. I'm not entirely certain whether or not I believe this, but nevertheless, he is still a celebrity, and he is still in Kingdom Hearts. And the Naked Mole Rap will forever be a certified banger.
Listen to the Naked Mole Rap.
On a less controversial note, let's sprinkle in another part 2. Here we have Yuffie, played by Mae Whitman. Mae is famous enough. She's been in a lot of stuff, including but not limited to the Duff. It's true, so don't try to call my bluff. All of these rhymes are just fluff. Look, generally I try to be a good writer, guys. I really do. Sometimes, though, we get what we get. In any case, yes, she was the Duff, meaning the designated ugly fat friend. Now, okay, let's have a quick sidebar. Designated? Sure. Friend? Maybe. But ugly? Look at this face. She is fucking gorgeous. And if this is considered fat, then my ass needs to get back on the treadmill too. I only think this is like a detached Hollywood interpretation of fat and ugly. This can't honestly be a real take, right? Right? As well as starring in this bucket of lies, she was also Roxy in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love this movie. I also recognize its faults. Scott is a bit creepy and a bit stalkery and a bit cheaty, and some of the jokes really didn't age well, but the music in this movie, the direction, the effects, the self-aware meta humor, it's all on point. Not to mention the phenomenal cast. It also proves that shrimpy gamer nerds can date Captain Marvel and take out Captain America and Superman, and that makes me feel good. Mae went on to play Roxy in damn near everything else related to Scott Pilgrim, so hey, points for consistency and dedication. Mae is one of the main characters in Good Girls, and she also plays Egg in Arrested Development. Egg? No, Anne. Why did I say Egg? Next up is arguably my favorite member of Organization 13, Xigbar, who was voiced amazingly by James Patrick Stewart. No, not him, James Patrick Stewart. There we go. James Patrick Stewart does a lot of voice work, as well as making quite a few appearances in various different TV shows, and over 600 episodes of General Hospital. Holy balls, dude, where's that Venn diagram from before? Bring that back. This is what it looks like now. Uncle Ziggy joins these three for organization members with celebrity voice actors, making them Organization 4? That doesn't sound as good. It makes me sad, really, that Axel, aka Quentin Flynn, is predominantly a voice actor, because I've met him personally, and I really just kind of wanted to brag about meeting Axel while dressed as Axel, and BAM! Managed to do it anyway! Hey, you. Yes, you watching this show right now. Okay, do me a quick favor. At the bottom of this screen, look at that. Okay, no, I'm not going to tell you to subscribe. even though you totally should. It's entirely free and it's worth every penny. Instead, I'm going to say, look at how long this chapter is, okay? You see how much longer it is than most of the others? Okay, well, good. I'm going to spend all of that time talking about Ansem the Wise. How? Stick around and find out. Why? Because Ansem the Wise, and by extension Diz, was originally voiced by Sir Christopher Lee, and he is probably the single coolest human to have ever existed. Honestly, I could probably make this entire episode as just a biography of Christopher Lee, but I'm gonna not do that, and instead I'll sum up some of the cooler things about him. Even as a kid, I was astounded that Christopher Lee was in Kingdom Hearts 2. I remember listening to his voice thinking, whoa, they got Saruman for this game? Count Dooku is in Kingdom Hearts? And that was even before I started learning about Christopher Lee and the absolutely bonkers life that he lived. For starters, the guy was a giant, standing at 6 foot 5 inches, and he was born in 1922, meaning he reached his full height somewhere around 1940. People in 1940 generally were not that tall. Hell, people nowadays generally aren't that tall. I personally am 6'1", and I'm considered a tall queen. King! Tall king! Crap. Alright, editor, let's cut that part.
No.
Not to mention, his mother was a countessa. I probably could have led with that, I suppose. Anyway, Christopher Lee at one point wanted to marry Henriette von Rosen, who was the daughter of Count Fritz von Rosen. But, being a traditional type, he wouldn't do it without her father's blessing. However, her father, Fritzy, didn't really like Christopher, presumably because he was allergic to the pure crystallized riz that just poured off of him. And now I feel like I have to brush my teeth, being a guy in his mid-30s who just ironically used the word riz. Anyway, Count Fritz said, "Hey, yo, sure you can marry my daughter, if you can get the King of Sweden to give you his blessing first." Alright, I guess Count Fritz von Rosen was originally from Brooklyn. Anyway, Chris then said, "Aight, bet," and he did it. He got an audience with the king and asked for his blessing to marry Henriette, and the king said, "Hell yeah, bruh, get after it." I may be paraphrasing slightly. Christopher then returned to the father and showed him that the king okayed it, and her father said, "Oh, well damn, boy, go ahead." And now he's Southern? What the fu- Okay. And Christopher Lee must have had a change of heart at some point because he had the coldest reaction to that, and he said, "Nah, I'm good." And he f***ing left. He would later go on to marry a Danish model named, oh god, I'm gonna screw this up, Birgit Kroenk. Kronk? This is a well-known story at this point, but I love it, so I'm gonna tell it again. While filming The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, in addition to being the only person on set to actually meet J.R.R. Tolkien, there was a scene in which Christopher's character Saruman gets stabbed in the back, and in every take he reacted with pain and fear and a gasp, but never a scream. Peter Jackson at one point asked him to scream, and Christopher said,
Have you any idea of what kind of noise happens when somebody's stabbed in the back? And I said, well, because I do.
It's not. Ah, I like that.
It's because the breath's driven out of your body.
How would Christopher know this? When would he have gotten this experience? Why, while becoming the real-life James Bond, of course. Back in World War II, Christopher enlisted in the British Air Force, where he would eventually work his way up to becoming a spy for the SAS. They would send him into Europe dressed as a German officer, because he also spoke German, Spanish, Italian, and a bunch of other languages, because of course he did. But anyway, reportedly, the European women loved him, because he was also exceptionally charismatic. I mean, your mom's a countessa, you're gonna learn how to conduct yourself after all, right? Huh. How about that? An exceptionally handsome British spy who's often thrown into dangerous situations and hooking up left and right? Sound familiar? Oh, and by the way, Christopher Lee's partner on these missions was his cousin. His name was Ian Fleming, the guy who wrote the James Bond novels. While I don't believe it was ever specifically stated that the James Bond stories were inspired by Christopher, it seems a bit more than coincidental that your partner and family member did a bunch of crazy shit as a spy, and then you write a series about a dude doing a bunch of crazy shit as a spy. Albeit with some more fantastical elements, but still. And even though Christopher never played the character based on him, he did play the villain in The Man with the Golden Gun. Oh, and if you think he was done there, you're mistaken, because he also started a heavy metal band at the tender young age of 88 years old. This is exhausting, man. Jesus. Now, for some on-screen accolades, the dude was all over classic monster movies. He played Frankenstein's monster, The Mummy, played Dracula 10 times. He currently holds the record for most on-screen deaths because he played villains so much. And he has the record for on-screen sword fights because he was, of course, also a world champion sword fighter too. And then he went on to play death itself. But it doesn't end there, because he was not only the tangible force that beckons me slowly to its side every time I hear a fun new noise coming from a fun new joint, but he also played Lucifer, so he'd already conquered 2/3 of the forces of the afterlife. And now to end this segment, I'm just going to rapid fire some cool Christopher Lee facts, okay? He climbed Mount Vesuvius 3 days before it erupted. He was witness to the last public execution in France because he was just kinda there and thought,
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
he was an opera singer, and in 2009 he was also f***ing knighted. But after 93 awesome years, Christopher Lee unfortunately passed on. Presumably while leading a regiment of direwolves against an army of minigun-wielding grizzly bears or something. Thank you, north of the border, for that idea. And there you have it, folks. 10 more celebrities who voiced characters in 2 more games. How many more do we have? 10? 11? Well, looks like this series is going to continue. See, I put out the first episode expecting maybe 50 views or so, and you mad bastards blew that out of the water, and I really cannot thank you enough. Thank you for the support and coming along on this crazy journey with me. And hey, if you're not on this journey yet and you want to be, do the whole YouTube thing. Like, comment, subscribe, ring my bell, and I will see you very soon. Later. Holy crap, Christopher Lee. That guy, man. Wow.